From the darkest verses of Hesiod's Theogony, a description claws its way into our reality, a creature not of nature, but of nightmare. It speaks of a beast of immortal make, a lion in its foreparts, a goat in the middle, and a venomous serpent as its tail. This is not a metaphor. It is a biological report on a creature that breathes a torrent of scorching fire, its very existence an affront to the laws of life. The horror of the chimera isn't its ferocity, but its composition. It is a living paradox, an unholy trinity of predator, prey, and reptile fused into a single, cohesive entity. Think of the visceral wrongness of it. 3 distinct evolutionary paths, 3 separate biologies, 3 warring instincts, all bound together in one hideously functional body. Such a thing cannot evolve, it cannot be born, and yet it was. Ancient accounts don't treat it as a spirit or a demon. They describe a physical threat, a creature of flesh, bone, and fire that terrorized a very real place. Its roar was not an echo from some ethereal plane, but a sound that shook the very mountains, a physical manifestation of impossible life. The legend is not some free-floating fable. It is anchored with chilling precision to the sun-scorched, rugged mountains of ancient Lycia in what is now modern-day Turkey. This was its hunting ground. This was its territory. The stories tell of a hero, Bellerophon, tasked with its destruction not as a quest for glory, but as a desperate act of extermination against a blight upon the land. We must see Bellerophon and his winged mount, Pegasus, not as characters from fantasy, but as historical figures equipped to handle an unprecedented threat. He was an operative, a specialist sent to neutralize a target so terrifying, so unnatural, that conventional armies were useless against it. The chimera was a problem that required an extraordinary solution. Let us analyze the creature's anatomy as if conducting a cryptozoological autopsy based on these ancient field reports. The lion's head and powerful forelimbs are not merely symbolic. They represent the primary offensive system. This is an apex predator's chassis, built for aggression, for the hunt, and for delivering the creature's most devastating weapon, its infernal breath. The goat's torso, emerging grotesquely from the lion's spine, has always been the most baffling component. Why a goat? But from a design perspective, it suggests a secondary, incredibly resilient set of vital organs. A different metabolism, perhaps, or a redundant respiratory system that allowed it to survive grievous wounds and fuel the biological furnace within its chest. It is a design for unnatural survivability. And finally, the tail. A living, thinking serpent, constantly writhing with its own malevolent intelligence. This was not a passive appendage. It was a rear-facing defensive weapon, a delivery system for a potent, fast-acting venom. The chimera could fight on all fronts simultaneously, a perfect engine of destruction. Now, we must make a profound shift in our perspective. Discard the lens of mythology. Set aside the notion of divine punishment or chaotic magic. The laws of nature were not broken here. They were deliberately and intelligently rewritten. This creature wasn't born. It was engineered. The chimera is not a monster. It is a machine. It is the terrifying, living proof of an arcane science we have long since forgotten, the product of sophisticated, ancient genetic engineering. Its form is not a random collection of parts, but a meticulously designed biological weapon. This level of creation hints at a technology so advanced, it borders on the arcane. Modern science recognizes chimerism, where an organism contains cells from two distinct genetic lines, a microscopic fusion. But this is something else entirely. This is macroscopic integration, a seamless, breathtaking union of fully formed, disparate biological systems. We are not talking about a collage of tissues. We are witnessing the work of master bioengineers who could take the fully developed heart of a lion, the lungs of a goat, and the venom glands of a serpent, and weave them into a single, cohesive, living entity. Each organ functions not just independently, but in perfect, horrifying synchrony with the others. This wasn't a random mutation or an evolutionary quirk. It was a deliberate act of creation, a testament to a lost science capable of manipulating life on a scale we can barely comprehend. The Chimera is not a monster born of chaos. It is a pinnacle of an unfathomable and terrifying biological artistry. And every piece of its design served a tactical purpose. This was not an animal. It was a weapon system. The lion's head and powerful forelimbs provided the primary assault capability, a brutal, close-quarters engine of destruction, armed with devastating claws and bone-crushing jaws. It was the shock trooper, designed for overwhelming force. But its genius lies in the synthesis. The goat's torso and legs offered incredible resilience and the ability to traverse treacherous, mountainous terrain where conventional forces would falter. The serpent tail was its final, lethal surprise. A ranged, venomous strike, a defensive measure that could incapacitate an attacker from a distance. It was the perfect all-terrain biological weapon. Yet, its most legendary power, the fire, remains the most enigmatic. We must set aside notions of pure magic and look for the biological mechanism, the arcane science hidden within its very anatomy. The key is not the lion, but the goat. Goats are ruminants, possessing a complex, four-chambered stomach designed for one primary purpose: fermentation. This fermentation process naturally produces immense quantities of methane gas, a highly flammable fuel. The ancient engineers of the Chimera would not have overlooked such a potent energy source. Imagine a specialized organ system, a biological refinery designed to siphon, concentrate, and store this methane in a high-pressure bladder, turning the creature's own digestive process into an internal fuel factory. With a volatile fuel source established, the final piece of this terrifying puzzle is the ignition. This is the core revelation. We propose a specialized organ, a biological furnace embedded within the lion's throat, connected directly to the gas bladder. This furnace is the spark that turns a biological anomaly into a living inferno. How it works is a matter of terrifying speculation. Perhaps piezoelectric crystals embedded in the jaw that generate a spark when the creature roars, just like a modern gas lighter. or even more advanced, a separate gland that secretes a hypergolic chemical, a substance that ignites instantly upon contact with the expelled methane. And that is the unfathomable truth. The Chimera's roar was never a simple vocalization. It wasn't a threat. It was the trigger mechanism. The violent muscular contraction of the roar would force the methane from its storage bladder past the ignition source and out in a torrent of directed flame. The roar and the fire were one and the same. The final, staggering piece of this puzzle isn't found in an arcane text or a buried artifact. It's etched into the very landscape of our world. In the heart of ancient Lycia, in what is now modern Turkey, lies a place called Yanartaş, the Flaming Rocks. For millennia, natural methane gas has seeped through fissures in the mountainside, igniting spontaneously, burning with an eternal, otherworldly fire. This is no mere geological curiosity. This is the location of the ancient Mount Chimera. The legends placed the creature's lair right here amidst these perpetual flames. The connection is undeniable, a geographic scar proving the myth's tangible origins. The fire-breathing monster wasn't just a story told around a campfire. It was a living reality whose presence was so profound, so terrifying, that its very essence became fused with the land itself. The eternal flames of Yanartaş are the creature's last will and testament, a lingering, fiery breath that has outlasted its creators and its destroyer. It stands as the ultimate proof, a permanent echo of a biological impossibility that once walked the earth. And if the Chimera, a creature that defies every known law of nature, has a plausible foundation in advanced, forgotten science, what does that imply for every other monster that haunts our collective memory? Suddenly, the pantheon of mythic beasts is cast in a chilling new light. The hydra, the griffin, the centaur. Are they merely fables, or are they a distorted catalogue of a lost epoch of genetic mastery, a bestiary of biological constructs, their true origins forgotten, their stories warped by millennia of retelling until only the awe and the terror remained? We may not be looking at mythology, but at a fragmented library of a lost and unfathomable science. But this raises a terrifying question. If such a perfect, devastating weapon was created, why do the legends only speak of one? Why didn't this arcane technology proliferate? The answer is as brilliant as it is chilling, and it reinforces the theory of intelligent design. The Chimera was almost certainly engineered to be sterile. It was a terminal asset, a biological dead end, incapable of breeding and unleashing an uncontrollable ecological catastrophe. The creators were not just masters of genetics, they were masters of containment. The hero Bellerophon's quest then transforms from a simple monster hunt into something far more profound. He wasn't just a dragon slayer, he was a specialist sent to decommission a rogue piece of military hardware that had outlived its purpose. The Chimera, therefore, is more than just a myth. It is a ghost haunting us from a forgotten technological past. Its composite form, its venomous serpent tail, its biochemical furnace, all point to an intelligence that could manipulate the very code of life, an intelligence whose achievements and hubris have been relegated to the realm of fantasy. Its roar echoes through the ages not as a simple fable, but as a profound warning, a warning about the unfathomable power of creation and a chilling prophecy of our own rapidly approaching genetic future. The legends are not just real. They are a blueprint of what was and a terrifying glimpse of what could be again. This paradigm shift recontextualizes our entire understanding of mythology. If the Chimera was a product of arcane bioengineering, then what of the griffin with its eagle head and lion's body? Or the Hydra, a multi-headed serpent seemingly capable of regeneration? Suddenly, these are not random monsters born of nightmare. They are a catalog of forgotten, living technologies, each designed for a specific, terrifying purpose. The legends are not stories, they are schematics. The visceral horror of the Chimera was its primary function. It was engineered to be a psychological weapon, a living embodiment of chaos designed to shatter the morale of entire armies. Imagine seeing that impossible creature cresting a hill, the predatory form of a lion, the unnatural bulk of a goat, the serpentine tail writhing with its own venomous intent. The battle was lost in the mind long before its fiery breath ever scorched the battlefield. The creators of such a being remain shrouded in eldritch mystery. Ancient texts do not speak of mortal hands, but of forgotten deities, or a precursor civilization whose mastery over the very fabric of life was absolute. This was not the work of a blacksmith forging a sword. This was the work of entities who viewed DNA as clay, who could sculpt flesh and bone with the same ease that we might carve stone, creating life forms that defied every natural law. And the evidence of their work, the scars of their ancient science, still linger. The eternal flames at Yanartaş in modern-day Turkey, where the Chimera was said to have been slain, are more than a geological curiosity. They are the smoldering ruins of a biological reactor, a testament to the creature's cataclysmic end. Its internal furnace, breached in its final moments, continues to burn deep within the earth, venting superheated gas through the rock, an everlasting pyre for an impossible beast. This reframes the hero's victory entirely. Bellerophon, atop the winged Pegasus, wasn't just a warrior slaying a monster. He was a specialist, tasked with decommissioning a rogue piece of advanced, living weaponry. His famed lead-tipped spear becomes a targeted delivery system, a tactical device designed to poison the Chimera's biological furnace from within, triggering a catastrophic, irreversible meltdown that fused the creature's essence to the very landscape. This raises a truly chilling possibility. If the Chimera was one such creation, how many others were there? Were there failed experiments? Other successful models? Could dormant specimens, or even fragmented strands of this arcane genetic code, lie buried in the planet's most remote corners? The global tapestry of myth, filled with composite beasts and unnatural horrors, suddenly reads less like folklore and more like a fragmented field guide to a lost, terrifying ecosystem. The very concept of the Chimera, this amalgamation of disparate beings, has haunted the human psyche for millennia. It echoes in the stone forms of medieval gargoyles and in the modern frontiers of genetic splicing. This recurring theme of combining life is not mere fantasy. It is a deep, resonant memory, an archetypal scar left on our collective unconscious by the tangible reality of this ancient, engineered terror. Perhaps the most unfathomable aspect of its design was not its fire, but its integrated consciousness. The cunning of the lion, the resilience of the goat, and the venomous guile of the serpent were not three separate minds trapped in one body. They were woven together into a single, malevolent intelligence. This was a weapon that could think, strategize, and hunt with a terrifying synergy that no natural predator could ever possess. An intelligent weapon, however, is an unpredictable one. It can learn, it can adapt, and it can rebel. Was the Chimera's legendary rampage across the kingdom of Lycia truly a random act of monstrous fury? Or was it a calculated campaign of defiance against its very creators? A rogue asset, unleashed and now utterly beyond anyone's control, turning its engineered power against the world that made it. The tale of the Chimera, then, transforms from a simple myth into a profound and sobering warning. It speaks of the unfathomable heights of a lost science, and of the enduring, terrifying consequences of wielding such power. The question is no longer whether such a creature could have been real, but what other arcane creations of that forgotten age still wait, silent and unseen, for their own moment of rediscovery.